All right, so welcome everybody. We've got the debate going on right here, right now. So, welcome everybody for tuning in. This is a debate. Did Jesus exist between Adam, who's going to take the affirmative? How you doing, Adam? Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, man.
I'm doing well. First of all, thank you both for having me here. 37, born and raised in San Diego, now living in Arizona with my family. So, looking forward to having some fun here.
Cool, cool. And just to be clear, you're not claiming a definite Christian position, just
Nope,
the
just
affirmative
just
on the
the
claim.
affirmative that the historical figure known as Jesus was a historical figure that is evidenced by historical facts.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. And Logan, how you doing today, sir? Tell everybody a little bit about yourself if they don't know already.
Well, I'm Logan. I will be the mythicist in this debate. Um, we kind of had a short preparations. Otherwise, I might have had screenshots and stuff to share with you, but we'll just have to do it verbally. Um,
At
that's
least we
about it.
did.
I have my own channel. It's got some religious stuff on it, but I'm also gender critical, and it has a lot of stuff about that. Um, my favorite foils are the people on the line. Unlike Adam here, they don't have the balls to step up and debate me on trans issues.
Right.
I'm happy to
Hmm.
debate that any day too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you might want to know my position first. But I really
What's
meant
your position?
they won't step up to debate. Period.
Yeah.
Oh, I think trans people are the sex they are.
Yeah, I'm happy to debate that anytime.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds like we got some future events coming up already, spinning off out of this first debate between Adam and Logan. Did Jesus exist? Adam's taking the affirmative. So we're going to start off with a 10-minute opening. And Adam, you've got the floor, man. Go for it.
Well, I may not need the full 10 minutes, but I will try to make as good a case as I'm able. Um, the question is, did Jesus exist or was Jesus real? Does not entail any kind of um, miracle claims. It doesn't entail any sort of whatever these people claim is not. Sorry, let me hash this out. It does not entail anything outside of the purview of what is generally considered historical fact. So if we're going to look at the history of Christ and all the claims made by him and nitpick whether or not him or the claim that he walked on water happened, therefore nothing else happened, is essentially the crux of this debate. There's more than enough historical evidence outside of the Bible that backs up a person named Christ who was crucified. There's more than enough evidence, excuse me, outside of the Bible that proves that there was a man named Christ who was a Jew that led some sort of what was considered a rebellion and was therefore put to death. Again, th- th- this usually isn't contested, but the only real the only real pushbacks are against what would be called mythic claims, which is why he's claiming the mythic position. That's my opening statement.
Okay, cool, cool. All right, Logan, go ahead. The stage is yours, brother.
yeah. For me, Scott, you're a little quiet.
I will turn my I will turn myself up, but the stage is yours.
There you go. Dominate, dominate.
Yes.
All right. In the early days of Jesus historicism, Albert Schweitzer noticed that everyone was seeming to find the Jesus that they wanted. He wrote on this from his Remarks to Read, A History of the Research of Life of Jesus in 1906. Um, they just found a Jesus that was a placeholder for whatever values they held dear. And over a century later, we are now on the fourth or fifth search for the historical Jesus because scholars cannot agree upon who or what he was. For example, Burton Mack, John Donovan Crossan, Gerald Downing, and others have strongly defended that he was a cynic philosopher. Others have said he's a liberal Pharisee. Some say he's a charismatic Hasid. Others, a conservative rabbi. An antinomian iconoclast. Morton Smith promoted the idea that he was a magician. Some say there are hidden codes in the Bible that he was a violent zealot revolutionary. Some say he was nonviolent. Apocalyptic prophet, that is Bart Ehrman, that makes a case for that. I'm a first century proto-communist. People often argue that Jesus taught socialist views. Early feminists, from scholars like Elizabeth Schussler Fiorenza and Kathleen Gorley, point to his unusual attitudes toward women, some of which seem remarkably progressive. Was he a hedonist, since he was a glutton and a drunk, constantly eating and drinking with his disciples? Was he a homewrecker? Or was he a family man? Some passages have him supporting families. Some have him saying, if any man come to me and hate not his father, mother, and wife, and children, and brethren, and sisters, and brothers, he cannot be my disciple. Of course, there's the popular Christian view that he was the savior of the world. Or some think maybe he taught that he was the savior of Israel only. Or was he a radical social reformer? We can go on with these various Jesuses. No historical figure, I make the case, has ever suffered these chimeric portrayals that everyone seems to pretend that come from one person. We have cases in the epistles of Paul where he does not seem to promote this idea of a physical Jesus that was a human. In the famous Philippians hymn, he says, have the same mindset as Jesus Christ, who, being in the very nature of God, did not consider equality with God something to be used to his own advantage. Rather, he made himself nothing by taking the very nature of a servant, being made in human likeness, and being found in appearance as a man. He humbled himself by becoming obedient to death, even death on the cross. Therefore, God exalted him to the highest place and gave him the name that is above every name, that at the name of Jesus, every knee should bow in heaven and earth and on under the earth, and every tongue shall acknowledge that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of the Father. Do we here have a man? This passage, this Philippians hymn, does not even say says he does not get the name Jesus until after his resurrection. He was given this name. Taking that, the name of Jesus conveniently means Yahweh saves. How coincidental if you were going to create a myth that you would name this person Jesus. Also Judas, the person that betrays him. If we look at the Gospels as anti-Judaic, which many do, Judas represents Judah. How convenient that somebody named Judas betrayed Jesus. Had another passage here from Corinthians. Paul often talks about people he is in conflict with. Where am I? 1 Corinthians 1. He mentions being people are quarreling, saying, I follow Paul, I follow Apollos, I follow Cephas. And then he adds, I follow Christ. Shouldn't everyone be following Christ? Why would that be another division that Paul needs to criticize? Additionally, in 2 Corinthians 11, he says, if someone comes to you and preaches a Jesus other than the Jesus we preached, or if you receive a different spirit from the spirit you received, or a different gospel from the one you accepted, you put up with it easily enough. So just barely 20 years after that Jesus supposedly existed, there were already other Jesuses being taught. That seems very strange if something came from a core idea. If we look at Muhammad, there is no variable in Muhammad's life. There is Muhammad. People don't disagree on necessarily major facts or that he existed really. But Jesus is a chimera. How much time I have left, Scott?
You've got 1 more minute.
I got to reload all my tabs had to shut down my computer.
Well, you've actually got 2 minutes. Actually, 2 minutes. I take that back.
What are some other points we can say about Jesus that are just very interesting if he really existed? Stupid Windows. Messed everything up.
Mm.
All right, here we go. Why does Philo of Alexandria discuss the contemporary state of first century Jewish sects, but not a word of the Jesus followers? He was in a position to know. If Jesus was found guilty by the Sanhedrin, why was he just not stoned? Why did he need to be crucified? Why does Seneca the Younger record all kinds of unusual natural phenomena, yet this guy that was going around and according to Matthew was doing these great deeds for everyone to see, and the Gospel of John, he was shouting from the rooftops. Seneca takes no notice of him. He doesn't even take a notice of the Star of Bethlehem, the pair of Judean earthquakes that are strong enough to split stones, or the hours of supernatural darkness supposedly covered all the land after Jesus was crucified, an event I might note that Seneca would have witnessed firsthand. Why can't the Gospels agree on his? They don't agree on what he does. They don't agree on his disciples. Matthew and Luke are free to edit and modify Mark as they see fit, and John is familiar with Mark, but totally goes off the rails and says nothing that any of the other people say, except maybe the basic outline of the Passion. John also, an interesting note that's hard to pick up on a
30
surface reading,
seconds.
is John says Jesus was crucified on 14th Nisan, whereas the Gospel, the Synoptics, say that he was sacrificed on 15th Nisan. That's a big discrepancy for historians. In ending, I just don't see any argument. I have a prediction of what my opponent might present. I will not bring them up just in case he won't think of some things that I'm aware of. But otherwise, I look forward to getting into the minutia, and seeing what we can do. That's it.
All right. So we're going to move into the open discussion. Now, this is going to be 30 minutes. Guys, try not to crash out. I mean, keep it spicy, keep it honest. I don't care about language. I'm not superstitious about language or nothing. So go ahead and feel free to speak how you want. But let's just try to not crash out on the stream and everything. It's not necessary. But keep it spicy, man. Keep the gloves up, man. So you guys go right ahead. Whoever wants to start, kick it off, and we'll start now. You've got the floor.
Yeah, so you made some claim about how you didn't want to show your true hand, but literally, I couldn't have stumbled my way through that opening statement any worse, and you still walked right into the exact thing that I knew you would do. You would go into this whole spiel and rant about how Jesus isn't the real Jesus because he's not the Jesus of the Bible, but that wasn't the debate. It's a historical figure, right? So how do you justify Homer being a person or Alexander the Great?
Oh, Alexander's easy.
Okay.
Well,
Outside of using any reference like a contemporary writing about him.
Oh, there we go. I had the wrong tab up. All right. Since I knew you were going to talk about this.
Yeah, because we already had this discussion. You said that for some reason me asking this question denies my stance. That was your claim.
Yeah, it was absolutely, it does. That was asking if I existed.
How?
Who are you talking to?
No, it doesn't. I'm saying, what is your evidence for existence, right? If the contemporary writings of figures adjacent to these people aren't enough, and that's what historians are using, what is your super evidence for these other things?
Well, for one, let's point out that it would be a fallacy to say just whether or not Alexander survived or not. That has no bearing on whether Jesus did or not. However,
that's not what I'm saying.
Do
I'm
you want me to answer
asking
your
about
question?
how you differentiate evidences for existence, sir.
Which question do you want me to answer, Alexander, or how we establish the existence of a historical person?
They are the same question. How do you
Okay,
know if he's real? If he's if the evidence are essentially the same, or how do
they
you
aren't.
differentiate the evidences?
Okay, they aren't, but let me talk. For one thing, we have primary source attestation. We have nothing from either man that is primary to them. However, we do have mentions of them, mentions of Alexander in documents written by contemporaries. We have coins, monuments, administrative records bearing Alexander's name. We have none of that for Jesus.
What do you mean none of that? Define none,
You have no
and
mentions of
be
them.
specific.
You have no
Of
mentions of
by
them.
contemporaries? Are you insane?
Correct, by contemporary. Are you going to let me
How do you
finish?
define contemporaries?
Okay, I'm not. I'm about. I don't put up with the Jim Bob shit.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
you
Go
let
ahead and
me.
let
No,
it.
you
No,
don't get
no,
to make up your own words, sir.
I'm not making up my own words.
Yes, you
I'm
are.
reading. No, I'm not. Okay,
So
You
so
are
so
let
100%.
so let
I'm still
Logan go ahead and
answering.
answer.
I'm
You're saying
Logan.
still answering.
contemporaries,
I'm
like,
still answering your question, and then we can go back to the minutia. Okay.
okay, go ahead.
Okay. So first of all, we have primary source attestation. All right, we have that for Alexander. We do not have that for Jesus. Multiple independent attestations. We do not have that for Jesus. You have the Gospel of Mark, and the other three Gospels are based on Mark. And Mark is probably based on Paul as an allegory. You have the proximity to
No,
time and place.
you don't get
Um,
probably as part of your claims.
the closest source to where you most people place Jesus in existence is Paul, and he has no mention whatsoever of Jesus as a person. Contextual plausibility. Um, whether the person's life actions and references fit coherently with the known historical, cultural, material context of the period. I think we probably have that for both of them. The criterion of embarrassment, I don't find that impressive. That's mostly used in Jesus study specifically as a, it's catered to that conclusion. Corroborating archaeological material evidence, we don't have that for Jesus. We do have that for Alexander. Consistency with broader historical patterns. Sounds like it's repeating itself.
What's your
Absence of
archaeological evidence?
absence of contrary evidence and source transmission analysis. Analysis. Okay, now what question would you like me to answer now?
Okay. Who is Tacitus referring to when he said that Pontius Pilate put a man named Christus, the founder of the name, to death in Judaica?
Well, he's referring to a man named Tacitus. I mean, a
He's
man
referring
named.
to himself when he
He's.
wrote about somebody being put
Oh
to
my
death who
god.
was named
Oh
Christus.
my. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to type here. Okay. You got to understand. Sometimes when people
There's a mute button.
misspeak. Tacitus on Jesus. I didn't have this pulled up. Let's
Yeah,
get that. Let's get that read out just in
because he
case the
couldn't have been a
audience.
contemporary, right?
No, he wasn't contemporary. Um, when was he writing?
64 AD.
Tacitus was not writing in 64 AD.
Excuse you?
Why don't they? There's a wiki page. There we go. Tacitus on Jesus. All right. The annals were written in 116. That's when he was writing. Book 15, chapter 44. You want me to read this in Latin, or I couldn't read it in Latin? All right. All right. But all human efforts, all the lavish gifts of the emperor and the
That wasn't
propitiation
the
of
quote.
God. Oh my
I
gosh.
gave you the quote.
Okay, sure. We'll go with your quote. But, I'm not accepting it as historical because I can't measure it up to the actual one. So what is your quote?
You just laid out a whole bunch of your quote unquote facts, right? And I just have to accept them as true for Alexander, but you don't accept a historical evidentiary claim
Well, come on.
by a contemporary.
Tell,
Are you
tell me,
insane?
tell me what the quote is. Go ahead. And I'm going to compare
Christus,
it. I'm going to
the
compare it to the actual.
founder of the name, was put to death by Pontius Pilate
How could Jesus be the founder of the name?
What do you mean?
You do know they weren't called Christians back then, right?
Okay.
So how could he be the founder of the name?
That's not the question.
Paul does not call anybody a Christian. That name did not exist. He did not.
That's not what's in question, sir.
You
The
said founded.
question is
You said
whether or
founded.
not the person referred to in that is named Christ or not. You're putting all these religious claims onto me, and this is not a religious debate, sir. At all. This is not theology. This is historical evidence.
For one,
What do you get to interrupt for now?
Because you're spouting shit. That's why. Okay.
Okay, Scott. What's the debate about then? Is it theology or is it history? Because that's what I thought we were here for.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Did Jesus exist? You never specified.
Is that theology or historical?
Well, what is the point that you're making here on this point, Logan?
That I'm making.
That you're making, Logan. Restate the point.
Well, 2 points here. One, Adam never specified this has to be just a debate about history. He stated
that was my opening statement.
That's fine. You don't get to shape the debate.
And that's what we talked about beforehand.
We did never
say. What do you mean shape the debate?
Yeah, you did not get to shape the debate based on your intro.
Then okay, no. What does real? That's why I asked you. What does real mean? What do you define as existence? If existence is just, oh, it has to be under your claim. You brought up Muhammad, right? Every single Muslim believes that Christ was real.
That's fine.
So then why would you bring up Muhammad as a fact who thought Christ was real? Like, are you insane? Or are you just like trying to be combative for whatever you're trying to do here?
I'm being combative when you constantly interrupt me when I try to answer your questions.
Then what was the question that you're trying to answer?
Well, dude, for one thing, today you literally said you thought Jesus was God. Now, I don't know why you would show up
today. When did I say that today?
You said that during Scott's stream today. Yeah, gotcha.
What can you pull it up?
You want me to pull up Scott's stream from today?
Well, it doesn't really matter
and
to
how
go back whether he did or not.
Like,
let's get back on track to what the position is.
Christ can't be God. That like you don't even accept the fact that he's a historical figure. You're literally choosing to be insane.
Okay. Now, I can perfectly go well with the Jesus was a normal man. That puts an incredible burden on you because then you have to explain what the hell he did that was so impressive to start a movement. So you can go
that's not on me. Not even close. That would be on the Romans who killed him, or better yet, the Jewish Pharisees who had him killed. I'm not a Jewish Pharisee, sir.
No, but you entered a debate where you proposed to defend that Jesus actually existed. So yes, you do have that
in the historical sense.
Okay.
Which is exactly what could be argued here.
Let's cover this.
If you're talking about was Jesus the Son of God or was Jesus God, that would be an entirely different debate with a completely different prompt and a wholly different question.
I have not said anything about you having a burden of proof to demonstrate he's God. I've stated how the Gospels portray all that. They don't portray a man,
irrelevant.
They portray a man God. Okay?
That's irrelevant.
That's what they portray.
Irrelevant.
So, let's get to your Tacitus thing. Tell me what Tacitus said, and I'm going to compare it to what he actually says. Are you reading it?
I read it. I read it twice. I'm not doing it a third time.
All right, so I will reread it.
For a fucking tranny.
What?
I'm a tranny, man.
Yeah.
What?
All right. Anyway,
crashing out.
Yeah, he's crashing out, man. So anyway, here we go.
I'm right here.
So they're talking about the fire of
real good moderating there.
And
well, let him finish. Okay? Let him finish first. Then we'll
to get rid of the report. Neutral. To get rid of the report, Nero fastened the guilt for the fire and inflicted the most exquisite tortures on a class hated for their abominations, called the Christians by the populace. So they were called Christians by the populace, yet somehow he then claims that he originated the name. Christus, from whom the name had its origin, suffered the extreme penalty during the reign of Tiberius at the hands of one of our procurators, Pontius Pilate, and a most mischievous superstition. So he's already calling it a superstition.
No.
So
He's
you're not
calling
going to.
faith a superstition. He's calling the belief that this man was God a superstition.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Like,
saying. He's saying all
yeah,
the
the
gospel
man.
stories.
Yeah, so now the man is real. Are we done here?
Well, I don't know. You brought it up. Okay.
Yes.
Shut the fuck up and I'll explain, okay?
Okay, explain to me how Jesus
right.
wasn't real
For
and how a
one
man
thing-
can be a woman. Go
For
ahead.
one thing, it's oh my gosh, you don't even fucking listen to me, do you? Because that's not what I said. But let's leave the tranny stuff out of this, okay?
Yeah, you say Jesus was not real. Go ahead.
All right. The reason it's skeptical is one, he probably, if this is accurate, he got the information from Pliny the Younger, who he corresponded with. And that's all Pliny did. Pliny went and talked to a bunch of Christians or former Christians about all this, and he let some go and he killed some and who knows what. So he probably just got all this secondhand from Pliny, from Christians who were telling this story.
Where did
all
Pliny
over.
get his shit from?
From Christians. I just said that.
On how to execute them? That's where he got the information from?
No,
When he was asking the emperor on how to handle the Christians, he was talking to Christians.
he interviewed Christians.
Oh, and that's how he learned how to best execute them, was through that inquiry through the other Christians.
But for him executing has nothing to do with Jesus existing or not.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
It does, sir, because they followed him. Are you
Okay.
insane?
And for another thing,
Do you need a home?
That's cart before the horse.
Maybe a nurse?
Okay,
Like-
Jesus existed because people followed him. Okay, that's kind of a circular argument. Okay.
No, because there were more than there were other people than Christians who wrote about him
Okay. So my final
as he
note
lived.
my final note about Tacitus was he spells it Crests, which is a Roman name.
So what? That would
It's
just
not a-
prove the point even more.
Okay.
That it
it's-
ended up being a Roman name.
He misspells the name, which means he wasn't consulting. any
Misspells the name
documents.
according to whom?
According to scholars,
According to what spelling?
Latin,
So they
Okay.
misspelt it.
and
that's your
Yeah.
best argument. They misspelt a real person's name, therefore the person can't be real.
he
Like,
got a
is your granddad real? And how can you prove that he was real?
he got it secondhand from Pliny.
Okay, where did
So there you
Pliny
go.
get it from, and how did he learn how to execute
Oh my
Christians?
gosh.
And is your granddad
Alright.
actually a real human, or were you
My
just born out
granddad
of a
has
lab?
nothing-
And can you
my
actually prove that?
My granddad has nothing to do with this.
Yes, yeah, he actually does, because you can't prove his existence, just like you claim I can't prove Christ's.
Wait a minute, is it Christ or Jesus? Which one do you want to argue for? Christ
They're
is
the
a
same
theological.
person, Jesus
No,
Christ.
no. Christ is
That
a
would be like
theological
saying
term.
in a debate about whether or not Nazi Germany was ran by a man named Adolf Hitler, and I use Adolf and Hitler interchangeably. I'm therefore not. Dude,
So do you think Christ was Jesus' last name?
I'm using. No, I'm just saying I'm using the two interchangeably. Are you that retarded?
I'm nitpicking like you do, okay?
I'm not being nitpicky. I'm asking
Yes,
about
you
your
are.
actual evidence,
You're
which you have
asking
nothing.
about my grandfather.
You're saying skepticism. Therefore, none of it could be true.
No, I have
Yes.
responded. I have
Yeah,
responded.
100%. That's all you've done.
Yes, you have responded to zero.
It's not
that I brought up.
spelt the same way, therefore
Zero.
men can be women. That's your
Dude.
logic, because you think
Dude.
you think that way.
What?
You
Hey,
legitimately
Scott.
think
Hey,
a man
hey,
can
Scott.
become a woman, therefore
Mod-
historical evidence and like actual fact can't be real. Because you
Moderator.
believe in some fucking fantasy
Okay,
land.
hold on. Scott, just a point of clarification. Is he representing what I said about trans people correctly?
Not at all.
No, there you go, buddy.
Not at all.
I said trans women.
But to get back on
men.
track,
But let's get back on
but
topic.
but to get back
Okay,
on topic,
that makes sense.
Adam brought up the the grandfather.
It's not a
You
fallacy.
can't prove.
I'm just asking for
you can't-
evidence.
Yeah, he can't prove his grandfather any more than he can prove Jesus existed. So why? I guess he's making equivocation, pointing out an
I'm just
equivocation.
saying, no, it's not equivocation. It's asking about what this fucker's actual parameters for evidence is. If he's not going to go by what you even said was historical standard, by what standard are we measuring now?
I gave it to all to you. Okay. For my grandfather, I could fulfill all these requirements of attestation.
What
Okay.
you have people's what claim that he was. All you have is third party in your own.
I have a birth certificate, dumbass.
Okay.
I have
How do
people
we
that
know it's
knew him.
real?
I have people that knew him that I grew up with. Well,
Okay.
if you're going to be the
It's the
skeptic,
same. It's the
oh,
same as
you're the
Paul.
skeptic. You're
Paul
the
wrote
skeptic.
about.
You're the
No,
skeptic. Oh,
no, no,
yes,
no,
you
no,
are.
no.
You're
I'm not
skeptical of me
denying.
having a
No, not even
grandfather.
close. I'm not denying that you have a grandfather. I'm
Well,
saying that
then,
your
then, then
denial
that part
of
of the debate's
Christ would
over.
have to fall under the same parameters of what you're doing here, which is literally just obfuscation bullshit. Oh, it wasn't spelt the same, therefore it couldn't be the same person. Oh, he wasn't doing all these godly things, therefore none of it can be true. That's literally all you're doing.
No. Did you miss
So
my entire intro?
yeah, I've heard, Logan make these, his argument, lay him out. Do you want to address any of those points that he brought up? Because he brought up, I know, a whole bunch of them at once. Did you want to
What
take one off the
all of
list?
it was
And
about the gospel. I'm not here to defend the gospel. That's he
well,
spent
he mentioned
8
something
minutes
about
talking about miracles, about what people who wrote about him. I like what do you want? Paul wrote about him, but we can't use Paul because that's the gospel. So, like, what are you guys even talking about? And all these other writers are backing up what was written by the gospel writers.
Yeah, you're making that
It's
claim.
insane. And now I got two people. So where's do I get a second person here?
What do you mean?
no, what are you talking about now?
What do you mean? What am I
Because I,
talking
I,
about now?
yeah,
You
what are you
guys
talking?
both are on the same team. That's clearly
No.
obvious.
I don't
So
think
Well,
what's going on
have you
here?
about the
my
synthesis.
position? Have you asked me what my position
I
was?
don't.
It's not
Your
about
position is whatever Logan's is. That's
no.
obvious.
My position is
Anybody
yours.
watching this can see
No,
that.
Adam,
Yeah,
Adam,
Oh,
my
we're
they've already made
crying.
mention
Adam,
more than
Adam,
once.
my
We're
position.
crying.
Adam, stop crying because my
I'm not
position is
crying.
it's yours. I agree with
I'm right
you.
here.
I agree with you.
Okay, great.
So what the hell are you talking about? You're making a false fucking accusation based on what? I'm neutral in this whole thing. I'm just listening to you
Okay,
guys go
so
back and forth. So what are you
did
crying?
you
What are you
hear
crying?
anything that actually
What
countered anything about historicity other than this guy doesn't believe the actual
what it doesn't
miracles and
matter,
tellings of the Bible? That's
Adam,
what his claims were. What do you mean it doesn't
Adam,
matter?
it
Fuck
doesn't
off with
matter
that.
what
That was his
it
opening
doesn't
statement
matter
for
what
eight
I
minutes.
think. It doesn't matter what I
You're both
think.
saying that I'm not addressing it. The only thing he addressed
When
was
did I
that the
say that?
claims in the Bible and the miracles were not true.
No,
That's
I said,
it.
did you want
Okay.
to take any of his claims that he listed a whole bunch of them?
Those
Did you
were
want to
the
pick any of
claims.
those? So you want to go ahead and address it, or you just want to cry
No,
all
not at
night?
all. This is not a theological debate. I'm not getting into the theology of the Bible.
Yeah, you're crying too much. You're whining and crying. You can do that in the live chat. We're not going to have you on stage just crying. I mean, that's not how you win a
He has
debate, buddy.
not he has not
Even though I agree
countered.
with your position,
He has not countered.
I don't agree with the way you're arguing for it,
He
though.
he has
That's
not
the only
countered.
problem.
He has not
So,
made.
okay, so
Excuse
Logan,
me,
go
can I
ahead and
finish something here?
no, Adam, it's my
Okay.
show.
Let's
Logan,
return.
go ahead,
You
go
asked
ahead
me
and
to
You
you asked me
presented
to.
zero. You presented zero of anything in your opening. So here's my opening. Okay. Why does Philo of Alexandria ignore Jesus entirely? No answer? Well, Jesus mythicism answers that.
You said it's your opening. So now we're going back to your opener. Why should I have to do your opening?
Because you go to my opening and you challenge the issues I brought up. If you do not challenge them and critique them and
Your only
counter them,
challenges
you lose the
were
debate.
that the gospel writers were wrong and the spelling was wrong. Now you have some other writer, but you're completely ignoring all the writings I've talked about.
No, I
You've
haven't.
had nothing to counter. You've
You
just said that
mentioned
the spellings
Tacitus.
are wrong.
You mentioned Tacitus. I covered Tacitus. I
No,
countered
you didn't cover. You
Tacitus.
didn't cover what he said. All you said was the spelling is wrong.
Oh my gosh,
Then
are
you
you
went to
drunk?
that. Excuse you. Then he went. Then you went to. He maybe got it from Pliny, who
Yes.
knows where he got it from when he was trying to execute the Christians. Like,
Okay. Do you agree that since he spelled it the wrong way, he was not relying on historical documents? He did not have historical documents in front of him looking at Jesus's execution.
no, I
You
don't
don't
agree that just because a writing seemed different to you, that it had to be exactly written that way at the time that it was written.
do you agree that Christians were not called Christians shortly after the time of Christ and for a long time? Probably until the hundreds.
Sure.
Okay. So then Jesus could not be the originator of the name.
No, not necessarily.
It wasn't used.
Then why was he named it? And why was it written down prior to?
Well, people made up this heavenly spirit and called him a
Oh, they just
Christ.
made it up. So all these
Yes.
people just made it
Yeah.
up throughout the centuries, wondering how to deal with these people who followed this one person who has no name and no existence and
Okay.
no personage.
You know, you can spout your rhetoric all you want, but you're not
It's
giving
not
me evidence.
rhetoric, sir. These
You're
are
not
all
giving me
historical
evidence.
facts that we are just talking about.
Yes.
Joseph Tacitus wrote in 64 AD. Josephus was 94. Pliny was in the second century. This is a historical lineage of somebody being written about. Why would you not just be like, yeah, maybe there's and again, right? Like if there's even a hint of truth, that leans way more on my side. You're doing a
Tacitus.
full zero, excuse you. You're doing a full 0%, sir. So you would have to do exactly explaining a full 0% accounting of Jesus or Christ or Jesus Christ or whoever the fuck you want to call him not being real, which you have not done. You have only casted doubt on the personage in the Bible, not the historicity of the person, sir.
Okay.
And it's not even full. You've
Okay.
just been it's
Oh
not
my
this, it's not
gosh.
that.
Will you let
Like
me
what
get
do
a
you
word
like?
in? How much word do you need? Just tell me and I'll shut up until you're finished.
Go ahead.
Okay. So you said Tacitus wrote in 64?
Fill it with a Big Mac while you're at it. Yeah, that's what that's how
Really?
that's what it's claimed as.
So he was 8 years old?
That's when the quote is attributed to.
He was born in 56.
Just saying that's when the quote was attributed to that I got, sir.
Well, your source is incredibly incorrect, and it's no wonder you believe in this shit.
Okay? And if it was 114, what difference would that make?
I'm just getting you on a point of when he wrote.
And if it
That's
was
all I'm saying.
114, what difference would it make?
Because that gives time for the mythology to grow, just like
After death,
Roswell.
right? So now we're having to go back. There were plenty of people who wrote that Christ was alive after his alleged death and resurrected.
Who? Who?
So
Who?
you don't attribute you don't attribute any of the epistles of Paul, which many historians do,
I don't attribute the epistles of Paul.
to this debate. I'm not trying to bring those up as
I,
actual evidence. I'm just bringing them up
so
as
so
what
the
you would call rhetorically.
gospels aren't evidence. Paul's not evidence. Tell me what is
You
evidence.
wouldn't consider them, so I'm not trying to use them. Do
Actually,
you understand that?
you do
Trying to be
understand.
good faith. Do you
Do you
even know what
understand?
that means?
Do you understand? You can't shut up. Um, do you understand that Paul was a significant portion of my opening, and the fact that
And how could it be real? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And how he treats him
Paul
like a god. Yes.
Paul portrays Jesus as a angelic being? How
Right.
did Jesus, if Jesus had the name Jesus during his life, how did God give the name Jesus to Jesus after he was resurrected?
Yahweh, Yeshua are all names that the man walked with on earth, right?
I don't care what they called him because when Paul was writing, yes, he used the
Okay, so
word
you don't
Yeshua.
care about the names of the real man.
Oh
Like,
my
really?
gosh. Okay. If you want to be pedantic, I see you smiling.
There's
uh,
no pedantry. You're you're you're
you're
you're asking
hiding.
about names. We're speaking in the Queen's tongue about somebody who lived centuries and millennia ago. Like,
That
what are
is
you
not
even
my
talking about?
that is not my point. If you want me to use it correct,
Yeah,
if
it
you want me
is.
to
You're
use
saying that spelling matters.
no.
Yeah,
Yes, it
you
does. It
did. You
does in
said
the
that.
instance of priestess, yes.
Yeah.
But
Oh, it does in that one instance because you make it so.
okay, but
Because God
Paul,
can't be real because then you wouldn't be as fucking large and rotund as you are.
oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness,
So Paul
that's going low,
said,
man.
therefore
He's
God
going wide.
exalted
What do you
him,
want me to do?
Oh
therefore
my
Yahweh,
God.
therefore Yahweh exalted him to the highest place and gave him the name that is above every name, that at the name of Yeshua every knee should bow in heaven and earth and under the earth, and every tongue shall acknowledge that Yeshua Christos is Lord, and the glory of Yahweh the Father.
Okay.
Okay, so God exalted him after he died on the cross.
Yeah, but he
So
couldn't have been. So we're not talking about a man, right? This is just totally all made. Like you're referencing a man who walked the earth as if he walked the earth and died, but he didn't. So like, what are you doing?
I don't know. You're not challenging Paul. So you accept that Paul
You're
saw Jesus?
saying that a man who is known to have walked and died did not walk and die.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah, you are.
I'm actually saying
A
that
million
even
percent you are.
you're wrong. Even if he walked the earth, according to Paul, he did not have the name Jesus until after he died.
So what?
So who was this guy named Jesus that walked around that didn't have that name Jesus?
The man who died. You just said that. You
No, I said,
just said that the man who died was given the name. Are you really just going to keep you are you playing pedantics? That's all you do. That's
I
all you
said,
know how to do because you have nothing. You're just a
dude,
godless freak fucking running around and eating Big Macs all day.
I said if. Okay, I said if he was walking around, then he didn't get the name Jesus until after he was born. So then he
Okay?
couldn't even be the originator of the name because that wasn't his name, right? Jesus Christ
But
during
that's
his
what these
life.
people are claiming him to be. He's
I,
not making these claims. That's what people are claiming about him as the man who walked the
okay,
earth, who was real.
well, you're not rebutting Paul, so that stands.
Why would I refute somebody who agrees with my position?
He doesn't agree with your position.
That he
He
was a
says
man?
he says Jesus
That he
was
that
this.
he walked on earth? How
He doesn't
how
say
could
he's
he
a
have a
man. No,
physical
he
how
said
could you
he
have a physical representation of an angel on earth that isn't in the form of something that a
because he
human
had
could
a
relate to?
because he had a
Excuse
vision.
you?
Because he had a vision.
Right, and do you understand that anybody who sees what the Jews and Christians refer to as God, if they saw that true form, regardless of whether you believe it or not, that person would be lit on fire and would not be able to handle the power of what they're witnessing. That is why Christ walked on earth. That is why he was given this name. That's like and I'm not even I'm not even an apologist. I'm not even qualified to
Really?
smell the breath of an apologist. And this is it's so plainly clear that there and you're even saying it yourself, but you're like, oh, he couldn't be a god, therefore he couldn't be real. You're just a freak refusing to believe anything true.
Dude, you're a punk out in Arizona that's going to be brave calling people fat online, okay? So shut the fuck up.
How do you
All
know
right.
I wasn't at one point?
What, fat?
Yeah.
Oh, how do you know I wasn't skinny at one point?
Yeah, you ate yourself into like what are you talking about? You ate yourself into a whirlwind.
All right. I'm sure that wins you the debate. All right. So you cannot respond to Paul. You just say Jesus grew up with that name. Why was he given that
No, I
name? How,
did, sir.
how
I
did
did. You
Jesus
just
and
don't
Mary?
you just
Did
don't you
Jesus
just don't believe it.
did Joshua and Joseph and Mary just coincidentally go, we're going to call him Jesus? And God said, great, that's the name. Coincidentally, I'm going to give him after he dies.
No, he was no. Have you ever read the Bible?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So then, how was the name given? How did they know what to name him?
I would be surprised that I don't know more about the Bible than you. How did they give him the name according to the Bible?
Yes.
I don't know. They said he would be called Emmanuel, and they didn't call him
Who?
Emmanuel. The angels,
Right.
but he wasn't called Emmanuel.
No, Yeshua.
I mean, I don't even think Paul calls him Emmanuel. He wasn't given the name Jesus until after he died.
Again, that's not the debate.
Yes, it is. That's part of
Okay,
my position is that Paul presents him
can real
as
can
an
oh
angelic
okay.
being.
Okay, how does a
Why would
non-real thing
Paul
die? How does
why
a
would Paul,
non-real
if
thing
there
die,
was
sir?
some real guy in history, why would Paul need to say, oh, he was given the name Jesus after he died?
How does a non-real thing die?
What?
Oh, how did Hercules die?
No, that's not the same. And either way, how does
Oh,
it, that's not that
whoa,
you
whoa,
don't get to
whoa.
answer a question with a question. How
Oh,
does
you do it all the
how does a
time.
non-real thing die in the
Because
physical?
there's
And how is it
stories.
written about?
Do you know that Gandalf died and came back? Do
That's
you accept
nobody
that?
nobody alive has written about the works that Gandalf has done on earth as a man. Can you please
Yes.
answer the question?
Religions grow.
Can you please answer the question?
Repeat it one more time.
You
How
got
does a
5 more minutes.
non-real man die?
How does a real man die?
No. How does a non-real man
How does
die?
a non-real man die?
Yes, because you
Non-real
are just
men, non-real
you're
men.
saying,
Oh my
excuse me,
gosh, you want me to fucking answer the
I'm just
question?
trying to clarify the question. If you want to answer it, go ahead.
A non-real man dies in stories, in fiction. That's how non-real men die. You're
Okay,
welcome.
okay, great. Why would people make a movement about stopping a non-real man from proliferating his movement?
This is rhetorical nonsense.
No, it's
It's
not.
it has nothing to do. You're like Jim Bob. You can't defend your own position.
That's not even true. I'm asking you what your position is. And I honestly, if you think I'm like Jim Bob, that's a huge compliment. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, I think Jim Bob's kind of a moron, but okay.
That's great.
Um, um,
I can
here's a
ask the
here
question again if you don't
here's a
remember.
potential way it happened. Um, Kephas had visions. Kephas spread these visions to other people. Finally, they got to Paul. Paul says nothing when he goes back to Jerusalem after 3 years in the desert, which was probably Petra. He comes back and visits with them and says they added nothing to my gospel. We have his gospel throughout his letters. His gospel does not involve a human man wandering around.
So would
And
you like me
how
to repeat the question so you can actually answer it?
I did answer it. Go
No, you
ahead.
didn't.
Go ahead.
The question was, why would there be a real movement to stop a non-real man? And why would that be proliferated?
Where was this movement? I don't accept your question, the premises of
Okay,
your question.
so there was no persecution of Christians and there was no public execution of Christ or the man called Jesus.
Well, of course, that's my whole position.
But I'm just saying, so you don't believe in any in in any of the counting of the movement they're from? Like, why would these people go out of their way to find a man named Jesus, capture
You're
him,
you're assuming your
and then
conclusion.
crucify him?
You're assuming your conclusion.
No.
You're assuming Jesus existed, therefore you
You're
go,
saying that he was given the name after death. I'm saying, why would these
that's
people
what
put
Paul
him to
says.
death?
How do you get all that? That's from the Gospels, right? I thought you didn't
No,
need the
it's
Gospels.
not.
You don't allow the Gospels into this conversation.
Christos, the founder of that name, was put to death by Pontius Pilate. Why
Yes.
would that have happened?
Don't know.
Oh,
He
because it wasn't a
One
real
more
man,
minute.
right?
We
he
got one
doesn't
more minute.
These
specify. Are
non-Christians were writing about executing a fake dude.
are we doing closing, Scott? I forgot.
Yeah, we're going to do a
Eventually,
closing
but not
after
right
this.
now.
Good.
We got
All
one
right.
more minute.
Well, you're presenting nothing other than one guy, Tacitus, who is relying on secondhand information that he probably got from Pliny the Younger. Pliny the
Okay,
Younger got
so
it from
again, I'm
Christians.
not relying on one man. I'm relying on a man who's quoting other people who are contemporaries of the time. Can you actually handle any of the questions, or are you just gonna fucking run?
Dude,
That's all you've done.
you've ran from
You've made nothing. All you've done is just cast doubt. You haven't said anything that this can't be true. You just said that there's a possibility that some of it may not be, but there was a man who was actually put to death and he was given the name. So again, why would this person be put to death and why would he be given the name?
oh my
All
gosh.
right. So let's go ahead. Let's end it right there. We spent the entire 30 minutes. So let's go into Q&A. See, or actually, before we go into Q&A, let's do closing remarks first, and then we'll go into Q&A. But that'll be about 5 minutes. So take a full 5 minutes if you want for
I'll need
closing
about 5
remarks.
seconds.
All right, go for it, Adam.
He's fat. Next.
That's a winning statement. That won the argument.
Oh, I gotta tell you, you're entertaining. That's for sure. Okay. All right. Well,
That's all you've proven.
my opponent has shown up that because I'm fat, Jesus doesn't exist. So I appreciate that. He admits that Jesus does not exist because I am fat. My opponent was hooked on Tacitus. I showed the issues plainly with Tacitus, how it cannot be relied upon, and we certainly cannot rely upon a single passage to explain that somebody existed. As I said, there had to be multiple attestations. He denies using the Gospels. That's great for me. That's awesome. Just toss them out. He denies that Paul's plain words that Paul says, he was given this name Jesus after he died, after he was resurrected. He was elevated by God. He was only in the appearance of man, whereas Christian doctrine, of course, has that he was actually a man 100%. From my intro, my opponent did not respond to anything except for the Philippians hymn, and he barely responded to that, just dismissing Paul's plain words. He did not follow Alexandria. He did not answer why he wasn't stoned if that was his crime. So he keeps asking me, why was he killed? Okay, why was he killed? Was it for blasphemy? Because he would have been stoned. Seneca, he didn't cover that. He didn't cover why the Gospels can't agree on facts about Jesus' life if they're supposed to be facts. He can't agree on who were Jesus' disciples. I would add to that Paul never uses the word disciple. Everyone is an apostle, and he regards himself as equal to what is commonly assumed to be the disciples. What else? Well, I covered and demonstrated how Alexander exists because he was on coins and such. Alexander is such a poor example for these people to use. A better example would probably be King Arthur. And as we all know, King Arthur was fake. The entire myth of Jesus, if my interlocutor would have been calm enough, we probably would have gotten to it. But the entire myth of Jesus is created by various persons, codified by Paul in the Greek world, and Mark took Paul and took the Old Testament. You can find basically the skeleton of his entire story in the Old Testament, and it was just a midrash to create this person. And once Mark did that, it was a meme, an anachronistic term for that time period, but it was a meme that spread throughout Christian belief that eventually was solidified by various councils as fact. Thank you.
All right. Well, didn't get too many questions. Did get a comment from Objective Ethics out there. It says Logan won this debate handily because he stuck to the position and substantiated his arguments. I actually lean towards historicity, but Logan clearly won the day, sir. Yeah, I'm more on the historicity side too. But yeah, I don't think we have too many questions from the audience. So I guess we'll close it out there. Did you guys want to debate in the future about the trans issue?
Well, I think we ended up settling on he actually has the same position on it. So no.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I ended up hearing him say something about trans women are men. And I was like, all right, that settles that. There's at least sanity there.
Okay. Well, Junk Jammer asks, how does Logan explain extremely early Christian imagery, tile work, etc., and other archaeological findings? Also, how does Logan explain the way?
Well, it's agreed by historians that no one knows what Christians look like. The earliest drawing of Jesus, I think, is in the catacombs, and it's criticizing somebody for being a Christian, and they have the head of an ass on a body hung on a cross or a
Hmm.
stake. I don't know which. So I don't know when he's saying these early tile work and stuff. Christians were not in power really until the end of the second, moving into the third century, maybe in the fourth. I don't know how much power they had before Constantine came along. So I really doubt that there was a lot of tile work, and he would have to specify. Junk Jammer, you have to specify because I just can't answer this in a general. I have no idea what tile work you're talking about. And are you talking about the pool at Basada? Is that what it's called? But if you're
That's
talking
like
about stuff
third
like that,
century.
the pool of Basada?
Yeah, is that like third, fourth century?
No, it's a pool that really existed in Jerusalem. If I'm
Oh,
spelling it
oh,
right,
oh, yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah,
pool of Bethesda.
Bethesda. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, they found that, and I think that's where the woman, yeah, in John's gospel, Jesus heals a man, and a woman comes up and
Yeah.
she says, "What about those?" I think it's where she says, "What about those not?" But people can include historical items. You know, if I wrote a story about Stonehenge, and 200 years from now, people found Stonehenge, that wouldn't mean that it was a fact.
Right. Well, I don't think we're going to take too much questions from the audience, so I guess we'll leave it there, and you know, and hopefully we'll have some upcoming debates between Lou and Diesel, which is a Christian versus an atheist debate, um, and maybe I think Logan wants to debate some trans activist types. You know, he's a big
Yeah,
anti-trans.
yeah, I'm big anti-trade.
He's a big time bigot. He's a real bigot. But all right, guys. Hey, nice to meet you, Adam.
Well,
I
let me
thought it
ask
was
this.
so entertaining, though. Yeah, go ahead,
Let me
Logan.
ask this, Adam. Have you read any Jesus Mythicist books like either Carrier or Robert Price or any of those guys?
I'll keep it short and polite. No.
Okay. Even online, you can search for Earl Doherty, the Jesus Puzzle. I really love his stuff. He's actually what convinced me. But you might want to come familiar with these arguments.
Yeah,
And
no. There. I mean, you just you casting doubt is not the existence of no.
history is all about odds. So we say,
Yeah, and
what
the
are the
odds are
odds?
far, far not in your favor. I mean, you don't like the Tacitus one, but I mean, Josephus wrote more than once about the man and said that his brother James was
Well,
a real person too.
you
So
didn't bring
again,
Josephus up. You didn't bring
I did in the
Josephus up,
opening, and
did
also
you?
Pliny the Younger and Thucydides. So it really like you again your casting of doubt is only surrounding the miracles. It's not about the man. You can't put to death something that doesn't exist.
That's a circular argument. You actually can. People died in myths all the time.
I'm talking about physically. I'm not talking about just writing. These things weren't just like, oh, like there's one instance of this happening. I'm giving you one instance because that's all I had time to prepare. If you want every single recorded record of it, sure, I'll send you in an email. I got your email. Great.
Oh, I've
Like,
seen them. I've seen them. Trust me. That's why I was ready for Tacitus. So I'd be ready for Josephus. Josephus is actually easier to dismiss than Tacitus. But
again,
yeah,
but your claims of one that you say are so great, like coins were struck in the image of who they thought Alexander the Great could have been if he was an actual person. I mean, all these things that you cast doubt on could easily be cast doubt on the things that you're talking about.
they were
And
actually struck.
Alexander the Great would fit your argument better, but you didn't even address Homer.
They would actually Well, the existence or non-existence of Homer has nothing to do with the non-existence or existence of
Yes, it
Jesus.
would, because if you claim one exists and the other doesn't, you would have to differentiate the two, because those are both of your claims, saying that the evidence of one supporting one and the evidence of one not supporting the other somehow is a differentiating line. You would have to make that, sir. I'm not making the claims that these people didn't exist. I'm saying from your insane little worldview that none of these people could exist because you are using the same evidences to claim one and not the other. A coin with an image of a person does not mean that that person had to be that way.
That's one thing.
Again, and the same with the name. It's the same with everything else.
No. I
Your
gave you
arguments for one are the same for the other, but you're saying one didn't exist and the one did.
no. I gave you
That's
multiple
it.
lines. I gave you multiple lines of evidence for the existence of Alexander.
And again, it's the same. It's contemporaries
No, there are no contemporaries of
and
Jesus.
coins.
There are no contemporaries of Jesus that wrote of him, unless you want to count Paul, and he writes of a angelic man.
What is a man?
Whatever a man wants to be.
That's what I
whatever,
thought the
whatever a
position was going
man
to be
says
that
he
I would be debated on next time with you.
what is a man? Well, back in those days, Hercules was a man.
Hercules was an ideal of a man. It was not a man.
No, he was a man according to the stories.
Again, that's not what we're talking about. I'm talking about what a man is. What do you
What
what
I
is
am
a
doing,
man?
what I'm doing is giving you a comparable situation where a person did not exist because they were
No,
fictional.
it's not comparable because there's no Hercules is within the realm of a storybook.
So is Jesus.
Genre.
No, Christ is a historical figure that was given, according to you, a godlike personage. And
That
again,
was
you may
actually
not call him
that's
a man,
actually
but you're
according to
saying that
Paul.
this figure was given this. Why would multiple people across centuries give manhood to this non-man? And why would this religion, Islam, that you claim had to be based on a true person, why would these true people claim a person was false?
No, my argument for Muhammad was that there's only one Muhammad. There's a multitude of Jesuses, which I presented in my opening,
That's not
and you
true.
didn't, and you did not
That's not true.
address.
If you ask a
Oh,
Jew and a Muslim who Muhammad was, you will get two very different versions of Muhammad, sir.
so really, I listed them all in
Just
the
like if
beginning.
you ask you who your granddad was, or you ask your granddad's friend who he was, you will have two different versions of your granddad. So whose do we believe? Neither, because neither one of you can be true because they're both different. Therefore, your granddad is false.
Okay, so do
That's
they
your argument in a
do
nutshell. And you
do the
hate to
people?
hear it, so you refuse it.
Oh my gosh, you hate to let anybody else talk. Um,
You've
do
talked for
they
way more than this than I have.
do they say that Muhammad was a cynic philosopher, a liberal Pharisee, a charismatic Hasid, a conservative rabbi, an antinomian iconoclast, a magician, a faith healer, a violent revolutionary? Did they say all those
Does
things
that
about
mean he
Muhammad?
wasn't real? Does
It
that mean
gives
he was
indicate
not real, sir?
it gives
Does that mean
indicate.
he was not real? Does that mean he was not a real man,
Oh,
man?
it's a little baby.
Oh,
Go suck your mama.
he's
No,
Go
you're a
suck your
he's
retard,
mama's
and I'm
he's
just
tits.
trying to
triggered.
speak in a language you can understand.
You know what, dude? You are
Wow.
exactly the way I figured you would be. You're
It,
exactly the way I figured you'd be. You
What,
does
whine
it?
and
on
cry
topic?
He's crying,
you've
dude.
you've lost a debate. Okay, you've lost it. You have
What
no idea how debates work.
Right,
what
Okay,
was lost?
right.
you did not
You
defend your
lost it.
position. You did not
In
challenge
what way?
anything that I claimed.
You don't have a
You
proof for existence.
you even okay.
So you don't have a grounding for an existence, therefore you
Oh,
can't say something doesn't exist.
oh yes, I do.
What? Does
I
is the
have a
o-
brownie. Who are
Okay,
you
so
talking to?
what's the color orange?
Oh, you're shut up. Who are you talking to?
What's the color orange? And how can you prove it's real?
What's the color orange? The color orange is a pattern of light
is a
waves that
referent to reality, yeah?
we receive into our brain.
And it refers to something in reality, correct?
It refers to light waves.
Are those real?
Yeah, of course they're real.
Okay. What makes them real?
What makes them real?
Yeah.
Well, this is not the debate.
Yeah, it is. You are saying something doesn't
No,
exist based on
you
your
lost
own
the debate. I'm
parameters.
sorry. You lost the debate. I'm sorry.
What's the
On my own
debate?
parameters,
How did you prove that there is no such person as Christ if you claimed he was put to death?
because I gave a preponderance of evidence that he did not exist.
You casted doubt on the person in the Bible not being real. You didn't cast a doubt fully on the historicity of the person being real.
Well, you know what?
It
I
would
didn't
be
really
full.
have to
You,
because you
yes, you
didn't
did.
present. You
What
presented
does
one diddly
existence
little
mean?
squat thing. You presented one diddly little squat
100%.
thing,
You
which I
just said
refuted.
that illusory existence can be real based on the light waves.
I
So
never
if
said that.
those aren't real,
I
then
never
how are
said that.
they any less real than this person called Christ?
Dude, you don't know what the hell you're talking. This is what you get for listening to Jim Bob all the time, okay?
No, this is what you get for not having any
Jim
kind
Bob is a
of grounding
philosophical
for what you're
moron.
talking about. You have no moral grounding for anything. You have
Moral
no
grounding.
substantiation for what you're
What does that
talking
have to
about.
do with
But-
You don't
anything?
even know what existence means.
What does existence mean?
It means it can be interacted with in the reality that we are occupying in. And again, there was an interaction in the reality that we call Earth of a person named Jesus, or a person who was given the name of Christ, or a person who was called Yeshua, whatever you want to talk about, this person who was written about in history.
Well, I don't think you know how
Comment.
history
Hold
works.
on 1 second, Logan. Adam, Objective Ethics says, Adam, do
No,
you want to debate
that's
me
about what?
on how your worldview doesn't get you out of hard solipsism?
That would be his claim. That would be his position. He's saying that there is no existence of this thing. I'm saying based on what? And you're saying based on these odd parameters that don't seem to fit. And I'm saying that doesn't necessarily apply because they don't work for you in your fringe thinking of freaks.
Okay, so you admit I interact with light, so light exists. Okay, we
Great.
agree on that.
And
So what
Christians
grounding
interact
do
with Christ, therefore Christ exists.
that's a claim that you cannot substantiate because it's in
How
the
do you-
past.
No, I'm saying they interact with him right now by
Oh, they
their own
do?
definition.
Wait a
Yes.
minute. You're making a theological claim now?
I'm saying from their own stance,
Well,
they
that
can
doesn't mean
claim,
they do.
but that doesn't mean that they don't.
Oh, how do they interact with somebody? How did you ground that?
What?
How do you ground
I
that
don't.
claim?
I don't need to ground their theology. I'm just saying from their worldview.
You just said they
You brought
interact.
the Muslims in,
You
right?
said they.
So
You said they
from their
interact.
worldview, Christ is real as well.
You said they interact with a magic guy. I want to know how they do that.
They have their own traditions of doing so.
Traditions
Christ-
mean you are
Christ-
interacting in reality.
They claim Christ is God. Do you know what? Do you understand what that means and
Yes,
what
I
that
used to be a Christian.
entails?
I used to be a
Yeah,
Christian.
but is
yes.
that
Okay,
real?
so I'm not. That's not what's being
If
talked
it's
about
not
here.
real,
What's being talked about
if it's
the
not shown
interactions
to be
with
real, how do you
the
interact with something
interactions
that's
with
not real?
which, if he's saying the color orange can be interacted with, therefore
Right,
it
because
is
it's real.
real.
Right.
I am saying from their worldview, there are more than enough examples of them interacting with Christ and proving
But
the
how do we know
existence of
since
their
it's not
God.
real, but since they're
What do
not
you mean?
interacting? So I'm saying,
I-
how do you prove that they interacted with God or whatever? How do you prove that?
Would you count anecdotal evidence or no?
I mean, it's a weak form of evidence.
I understand, but it's how else would a person who was interceded on in what you would consider today's world do what, like what evidence would you need to know that a miracle was performed?
You'd need sufficient evidence. It would need to
But
be sufficient to the claim.
but that's what I'm saying, right? Like, so that's why I'm asking if I can give anecdotal evidence, because I have personal experience.
That's not
but
sufficient to the
but
claim, though.
but it would have to be, because based on a Christian worldview, it would be enough.
If you're saying that Jesus is God and you interact with him and you don't have
I,
evidence for it in the real world, then it's a subjective claim. It's not an objective claim.
well, again, right? Like, I'm saying, all right, I'll give the example. I was in a hospital, right? I had a heart attack, very, very severe one. It was about 9 hours in, and if I was let go, who knows what would happen, right?
All right.
Okay, I was on the table. They ran all their. Do you know how it all works? Like, there's an EKG, there's blood work, there's other things that are
Mm-hmm.
involved in figuring out if somebody is actually going through a heart attack. All those came back as me being normal. The pain I was experiencing, I'm not even going to get into. It was about 9 hours of that. Okay, so at some point they were about to send me home. They told me this. We can't figure anything out. We need hospital beds. You're about to go home. I prayed for the first time in my life, and one of the doctors came in with a portable ultrasound. Was it coincidence? Maybe. But how am I supposed to know? How is anybody supposed to know? Right? Again, and I'm not saying that that's evidence. I'm just saying that that would be considered evidence in a theological debate of there being an intercession.
No, it's either evidence or it's not. And something like that is a subjective piece of proof for you, but it's not an objective fact for other people because they are not the experiencer. You are. It's a subjective experience, private to you. So it doesn't count as
That
evidence
involved
objectively
multiple other
speaking.
people. So that's all I'm saying, right? Like, it's a it's again, that's why I was asking if it could be included, because that's the only evidence that could be given.
Well, the problem with that is that, anybody can make such a claim. Like somebody who's a Hindu can say that they prayed to Shiva and that they had this miracle happen or this interaction happen. And for
Sure,
them, that proves that's the objective evidence for their claim. And
that they
their
have
claim
something to interact
entails,
with. Yeah,
well, their claim entails denying the Christian claim that there's such a person as Jesus Christ that exists in that way, like Vishnu or whoever. So their contrary views, they use the same standard, so they all can't be correct. One of them has to be wrong. In logic, you can only have one thing to be. It's either the law of non-contradiction. There's only one position that's going to be right in a dichotomy like that.
I agree.
So
But
so
again,
you
you
know,
can't. You,
ho- so I'm
sorry,
just
go ahead.
saying. I'm just saying that I'm not necessarily disagreeing with your conclusion about any of this stuff. Really, I'm not. But I'm just critiquing the way that you're arguing. You can pick much better arguments than these. Is my only
But
suggestion.
again, this isn't even about the debate. This is about something entirely different. This is about interacting with something that is essentially uh, metaphysical, right? Like, outside of having a screen, or outside of having something that is reflecting the light back, orange is not something that could be interacted with.
Are you kind of saying that metaphysical arguments require metaphysical sort of evidences, whereas physicalist or materialist, naturalist sort of arguments require naturalistic evidence? Are you saying that these are two different categories, that it's not fair to pit them against each other because it's a
I'm
category error? Is that what you're saying?
I'm more saying that if if you want to refute the divinity of Christ, that's one thing. But to say that all these things couldn't have happened because he wasn't divine is another.
Gotcha. Objective ethics
And
asks,
there,
Adam, how would tell the difference between a metaphysical experience and a hallucination? And I think this gets to the point I guess you're making here. I guess.
Well, he's saying like why how is it I'm not saying that it's impossible that there's some by some definition of the word hallucination I hallucinated the fact that there was any involvement of all in God, that it just happened to be the kindness of some dude seeing a 20-year-old in agony.
Right. So how would you tell the difference? How would we know to tell you would tell the difference between those two things?
Well, I would say that's not the only experience like that I've had.
Right, but I'm saying as far as a method, like just going into it, you know, hey, this let's put it in category A. We'll put that in the category of hallucination. And then we've got, box B where we put the real metaphysical experiences at that are not
Well,
hallucinations, that actually
well,
are real. Like how do we know which box to put each experience in?
that would come down to worldview. Like,
Okay.
right, like if I in any way um believe in a form of a god, that's essentially going to be what I fall back to, regardless of what's going on. If there is no God, then I'm going to have to seek out some kind of explanation. But I think both are seeking an explanation. One is just saying, "Look, there's something I don't understand, and I'm giving it this title," and this other one is saying, um, "I think I understand, so I'm giving it this title."
So if let's say God was real, let's say that Jesus Christ is God and he was real, we can still have instances where things are hallucinations, right?
100%
Okay.
because of
So
choice.
even if God was real, even if God was real, like how would you determine the between the hallucination and the revelation?
Well, again, why would I have to? I think
Because it could be very helpful. Let's say, um, I don't know. You remember the story where Abraham was to, sacrifice his son, and then Yahweh stepped in and prevented him from doing that.
because it was never going to
There may
happen in the
be
first place
right, and there's people today that may feel
unless he
God has
chose to go through
spoken
with
to
it.
them. There could be people that hear voices that God tells them to do different things, and
Sure,
this may
it
be
can be
based on a
perverted.
yeah, and so it would be helpful to know the difference between the real message of God and the hallucination. Like how do we determine the difference since it all happens in our subjective mind? How do we tell the difference between these two things?
Well, I mean, how can you? How can you? Right? I think
Right.
the only. I mean, I'm not trying to make the same. I'm not trying to make the same claim as some of these people who are trying to start a church. I'm not
Yeah.
trying to make the same
Yeah.
claim as those people who are trying to go out and persecute. I'm just saying that there happens to be from my experience and what I've gone through and the things that like not just that one. I mean, there's something even far more severe that again
Well, the
in a
point
coma
is that
is that person experiencing a dream state, or are they actually in another reality? I don't know, but I was in one.
well, remember what prompted this whole line of questioning was the fact that we're referring to people who you say interacted with their deity, you know,
I'm saying they claim they
and
interacted with.
they claim with their right, and if what they're interact if it's possible that what they interacted with was just a hallucination or some kind of delusion or something imaginary, then it seems that the default position would be that their claims are not real, and so it doesn't really meet the
Sure, but
same
then why would
standard.
there be a man who was actually killed and given the name of the founder of this thing who was written in centuries slightly prior to and then multiple centuries after the fact having to deal with these people who
Yeah.
couldn't read,
Well, I
Everything
personally
was
agree
oral.
with you.
Everything.
I personally agree
I'm.
with you. Like I
I
said before,
understand that, but I'm just
I'm on
saying,
your
like,
side of this. But I'm just saying
you want to,
I'm interrupting you because we're kind of getting off the point. I agree with you on that, all of that. I'm saying that the bad arguments come in, and they're useless garbage
like,
arguments.
what?
Like this claim of interacting with their deity. They think they did,
This all
therefore it
happened after
proves
the
that he
fact.
exists. How does this prove
You're
that he
talking
existed?
about something that happened 20 minutes after.
But how did that prove that
You're talking about
he
something 20
existed?
minutes after. That was not the reason I brought this up. I am wondering how this person, Logan, claims the existence of other things and completely refutes the existence of the man that we now commonly refer to as Jesus Christ. If things like orange, which can only be interacted with through some kind of interceder in reality, be real. If he thinks he can engage in this thing that we all call orange, that isn't real, quote unquote, it's just something that can be interacted with along a range of things that we grant a name to, why is that less real than this real person in the eyes of 99% of history and like all of religion? Maybe not the same classification of person, but a person. Like, why are we supposed to completely negate all of that because there is a shadow of a doubt on certain aspects?
Am I supposed to answer that?
Yeah.
Well,
All right. Do you
one of you
disagree that
can because
light?
you're both on the same squad.
Do you disagree that light exists?
I never made that claim.
I just asked you a question. You can say yes or no.
That light exists. Light as we commonly know it exists. Yes.
Okay. And do you agree that the wavelength of light is 590 to 625
Sure.
nanometers? Okay.
Sure.
So orange does exist.
I didn't make the claim that it didn't. I just said that if
I
you want to
didn't
make
either.
the claim that Christ doesn't exist, you would have to somehow make the claim that orange, especially as we know it, doesn't exist because we are only calling it orange.
No, the light wave, the nanometers exist within light waves, the
Okay?
wavelength
What
and the
makes
frequency.
orange real though? Why does it called orange? Why couldn't it be called Pluto?
It could be, but the light waves will
Okay,
not.
so
So
again,
he can measure them.
The light waves will not change, whatever we call it.
okay. How do you measure your dead grandpa?
You don't measure a gram. You are making a false analogy. That's your problem.
No, I'm trying to understand how you denote reality. Trying to understand how you define existence, because that's the nature of the debate.
No, the nature of the debate was whether or not Jesus existed.
Right. So
Yeah.
it would go to what you mean by exist.
That would be someone that was living, and when it comes to a person, that would be someone who's living and breathing for a certain period of time on Earth.
Okay. So again, what makes the same people writing in the same time of Christ about him and his family from multiple centuries across multiple religions and multiple timelines be writing about some fake person who is only of influence because these people chose to be influenced by him?
They made up his families. Mark made
Why?
up his
Why? You'd have to
because
come
Mark
up with all these reasons why. You can't just say
because
they
Mark
did.
wanted to. Because
Why?
Mark wanted to.
Why?
Why did why
Why do
did
you why do you get to say all these people made these things up? How is that evidence?
no, I'm convinced by the evidence that he was made up. There's a difference. Why did J.R.R. Tolkien include Tom Bombadil when it was pointless to the entire story? Everyone agrees that entire segment is, you could take it out and it's pointless to the story. But J.R.R. Tolkien included it anyway.
Did
So you're
anybody
asking
ask
me,
him?
oh, I don't have no idea. But
So then why wouldn't they?
You're asking me why Mark did something? Because Mark wanted to, or he thought it was theologically necessary. Because he wanted to make a point, because Jesus says, who are my brothers and sisters and mother and father? My disciples are my mother, brother, sisters, and father. That's
So
why
then
Mark created the family.
why would the brother of Jesus be written about?
That was metaphorical.
Why would there be in entire timelines and millennias attributed to this guy? How could it not die out so quickly if it was just built on a lie, like the Greek myths?
The same reason that we are over 100 years into Mormonism.
What do you mean we?
As a culture, as a society, the United
How many?
States.
So Utah represents the entire United States.
No, you're making a dumb argument.
No, I'm trying to.
You said
how many Mormons are there?
Okay, you said
Okay, how many Mormons are there?
if Christianity isn't true that Jesus existed, then how do we have all this stuff? Is right? That's correct.
No.
Oh,
Then why were there? Why was he put to death? Why was it written that he was put to death? Right? Why is there an entire
because it was
history?
dictated by Scripture. Paul says that.
You mean Tacitus, Josephus, and Pliny?
No, Paul, who is a primary source for Christianity
And history.
says that this was all according to Scripture. They got this from Scripture, from proof texting, and from Revelation. That's where he got all his information. He did not
Proof
give it
texting what?
Proof texting the Old Testament. Paul says that.
Okay, again, but what about the other writers?
I've explained.
The non-Christian contemporaries at the time writing about this man who did what he did. Why would they be a part of this myth? Why would they be a part of the lie? Why would they promulgate it?
Mark created this story. Most people think after the fall of Jerusalem. He created this story, and this story spread as stories do, just like Roswell. We know Roswell was fake, but stories got spread anyway. They spread just like Mormonism. We know Mormonism is fake. We know Joseph Smith was a con artist. We know he made it up. It still spread. We have evidence he made it up, and it still spread.
To answer that question, no.
So the answer to your question is, I think I forgot your question, actually. Let's see. It was, the other writers.
Why would non-Christian writers write about this guy? Why would non-Christian emperors write how to deal with the followers and specifically how he was dealt with? And your claim about why he wouldn't be stoned is because he claimed to be God, and stoning would not be that. The Pharisees wanted the most
blasphemy.
The Pharisees wanted the most public and brutal demonstration of what would happen if anybody chose to follow this person.
The Pharisees didn't have the right to crucify.
No, they got the Romans to.
Why would Pilate, a notorious Jew hater, want to make them happy? I would think the opposite reaction would be, I'm going to irritate the hell out of them by bringing this guy to my table and entertaining him for the weekend.
Because he was causing a ruckus by throwing the money changer tables around and completely disrupting all of Rome.
You think Jesus went into the thing the size of a football field with guards and was successfully throwing tables and nobody was able to stop him? You really believe that?
Why else would he be killed?
Cart before the horse. Mark created a story which actually does not blame that as an incident for why he was crucified. I'll let you know. Mark doesn't say, it was because he was throwing over tables. No, it was because he claimed to be God.
And that's why the Pharisees wanted him dead. The reason and the ability for them to get that done by the Romans at the time. Excuse you.
The Pharisees
who excuse you.
Oh no, you've interrupted me enough, so no excuse.
Okay,
me.
Big Mac. The reason that the Pharisees got that done is because they convinced them that he was helping break their codes of conduct. It had nothing to do with the
How do you know
religion that
that?
they didn't follow.
How do you know that? I don't
How do you know
understand.
they didn't?
Oh, you can't answer your own question? You can't
No,
answer your own question.
you're saying, oh, they probably did this, they probably did that. Why would it not be the same? How could it be irrational that they were convinced he was antithetical to their to their empire?
That's the story Mark created
Why would it be untrue?
because it's not in Paul and it's not in the earliest fragments of the mythology. And it also doesn't make sense. I brought that up. It doesn't make sense. If they had an issue with him, they would have stoned him.
According to what doctrine?
According to theirs, blasphemy.
It's more than blasphemy, what he did. He wasn't just talking poorly of God. He was claiming to be him.
That's blasphemy.
It's far more than that.
That's blasphemy in their eyes.
Again, but a far more egregious version. They wanted to make an example. No, why would why if they wanted to promulgate this myth, why would they not come up with the most gruesome definition of it? Right? Like why not?
I don't know.
If you
I don't know.
like you just
Was castrated.
you're huh?
Mithras was castrated. Why did they come up with that?
Who?
Mithras.
According to what?
According to the mythology. So why would
can you quote that? Can you find the
sure.
scripture, please?
Not according to Christian teachings.
Okay, so then what do you bring it up for?
I'm bringing it up because you keep saying, well, why would they make this stuff up? Oh, I'm sorry. It's Addis. It's Addis who was castrated.
In what? Again, you're saying you're bringing other religions into this? Like, what are you doing?
What I'm saying is I'm given a proof
An
of
outsider
context.
test of faith.
Yeah, I call it a proof of context. You're sitting here going, why would they make this crucifixion up if it's so horrible? Okay, with Addis, they made up a mythology where their god was castrated. Why would they make that up? Osiris had a tale where they lost his penis. Isis couldn't find his penis. That's pretty embarrassing. That's pretty embarrassing.
What does that have to do with Christian theology?
Because
it has to do with your claim.
What claim? What claim are you trying to refute? And what claim did I make? That
are you even listening, dude? Are you tracking your own argument? You're the one who came up with the claim,
and you guys are bringing up Egyptians.
You're the one who came up with this claim, dude. Do you track your own arguments? You don't even.
What claim are you trying to refer to?
Are you that
again,
stupid?
Like you guys both said that you don't even know the question. Why
dude,
you're trying to answer these questions?
You're an idiot, dude.
Okay, crash out.
Go ahead, Logan.
All right. Your claim, as I understood it, was why would they make up a story of crucifying their founder? Correct?
No.
Okay, then
why would it be written about and promulgated by other religions, by non-Christians? Why would they be in on the game too?
Why would non-Addis people spread the rumor that he was castrated?
What? When did that happen?
What I'm saying is we cannot always explain. I can't explain why kids wanted to eat Tide Pods a few years ago. We can't always
explain why a real person didn't exist. Go ahead.
I did. I've done that.
You've casted doubt on the divinity.
No, I cast doubt on the existence of the actual person.
No.
For one thing,
he countered your claims. Is what he did.
Yeah, your one claim.
You don't even understand what your own claim was.
You can't counter the claim without addressing the worldview first.
No, your claim was
very simple. He just went into Addis about some random thing.
No. You're not even tracking your own shit. Your claim was
the claim as I understand it.
Yeah, your claim was that why would people make stuff up? If he really
No,
existed, why would people make all this stuff up? That
not
was your
just
claim.
people. It's not just people. You
Yeah,
guys
it's
are
like
throwing in
princes
all
and
these
it's like
qualifiers.
his scholars and everybody
No,
else.
not
Yeah,
talking about
yes,
them. I'm not
yeah.
talking about them.
That's what you
I'm not
brought up,
talking.
though.
No, I
That's what
said
you said.
other. Other.
But you mentioned Tacitus. You mentioned all these
He's a
different
non-Christian,
historians, right?
right?
Non-Christians.
Non-Christians.
That's what I
Why
just
would
said.
they? Why
Dumb
would
fuck.
they and
Listen with your ears, not your
no,
mouth.
you
You would
listen with
hear
yours.
it.
Why would they and
Listen, dumb
others be
fuck.
in on this thing
Dumb fuck. He just
to
refuted you.
promulgate another religion?
He refuted you. He gave you an example of one you don't agree with. So he refuted you. You
What?
just didn't get it. It went over your head. Too bad.
No, it wasn't even close. He didn't address any of the
Yeah,
argument.
yeah, he did. Clearly.
So, so Addis being castrated is the same as Muhammad agreeing that Jesus was real.
Yeah, why would they make it up?
What?
Why would anybody
That's
make
what I
anything
asked
up?
him. Why would the
Right.
Muslims claim the prophet status of a non-real person?
Because Christians were in power by that time, so they had to somewhat be peaceable toward them. And it's also possible they had a different understanding of Christianity. I mean, even in the fourth century, there's still varieties of Christianity. So
That
we don't
doesn't make
even,
him not a man.
they could have just been following, yeah, they could have just been following people that didn't think Christ was divine. That could have been the Christians in their area.
That still doesn't make him not a man.
No, it doesn't. But you brought it up. So if that doesn't solve the case one way or another, why did you bring it up?
Your claim is that he was not a man, right?
Yes, my claim is he is a created
Okay.
myth, grew and involved, and that is backed up by the evidence. You're bringing something in from
I'm
116
saying, okay, and
CE.
I'm asking you, this Addis thing, was that promoted by their adversaries
Was
as
it
a thing
promoted?
that actually was real, or did they just mock it?
Oh, I have no idea.
Right. So you're just you don't even know what I'm talking about. You don't even understand why you brought that up. You just brought it up to bring it up.
So are you saying that Tacitus is promoting the Christian faith?
I'm saying that by him acknowledging the crucifixion of the personage of Jesus, it affirms a lot of the accounting that the modern day Christians have of this man who was called
No,
Jesus,
it confirms one thing.
that he was a real person.
Well, that he was crucified. Yeah, but okay. So where did
Thank
Tacitus get his?
you.
Where
Thank
did
you.
where did Tacitus get his information? Well, the debate's over. You already lost. So, um,
You admitted
where
more
did
than once that he was a real person. You just don't like how he
no
was defined.
no? I'm being sarcastic. Um, where where did Tacitus get his information?
The writers at the time, probably other people at the time that he spoke to as well.
Probably. So you can say all that, and I can't say that he probably
You
just
were saying probably this whole time. I just brought that up
exactly
now.
exactly. So you do not counter what I say at all. It's a 50-50. Paul, however, demolishes you because Paul portrays Jesus as an angelic being.
As an angelic being who walked on earth in the form of a man and was crucified as a man and had all the appendages of a
Paul never
man
said he walked.
and was
Paul never said
born
he
as a
walked.
man.
Paul never said he walked on earth.
And how are they interacting with each other?
Paul was finding it in Scripture and Revelation. And when I say revelation, I mean he was claiming revelation.
Again, casting doubt, saying that it may or may not be true, is not the same as it wasn't. And like the last commenter said, that you want to ignore something from 100 years after his death is significant. especially in history.
Yes, it is, but it's not insurmountable.
And you just ignore it as if it couldn't have happened because it doesn't agree with your defined worldview. And again, all you have is, oh, it can't exist because it didn't exist in some way that you don't like. Like
No,
it's
no,
just
it's a preponderance. It's a preponderance of the evidence. See, you focus on one
that
thing,
you
Ted,
probably disagree with, but other people agree with. So it's
you
just,
focus on one
you're
thing.
so
I
hung
don't
up
care.
on your probabilities, you completely refute every other.
So are all your beliefs based on whether a bunch of other people believe them?
No.
Okay, then don't criticize me for having one that doesn't align with most people.
You're getting all of your stuff from other people, just like I'm getting all of my stuff here from other people. That's all we have on this.
Some things, but the Gospels and Paul I've read myself and analyzed.
Great.
But yeah,
That's not the only historicity of what we're talking about here. And the
dating of
only
the-
claims that you have against it are your probablies, but you
You
won't
have-
give any credence to the other probabilities.
You have one thing, Tacitus.
That's
all
not it.
you've
There's
offered.
Josephus, there's Pliny.
You didn't bring up Josephus during the debate.
In the opening, I brought up more than one person.
Well,
I
you should have
stumbled
gone
through it,
back
but
to it.
there's
And you
more
didn't
than
do it.
one.
I went back to mine, and you didn't address them at all. So you should have
I
gone
didn't-
back to it.
I didn't need to, and it was addressed more than once that there were these other people. You said that he got it from someone else who got it from someone else. Where did those people get it from? How is this thing passed down if oral tradition is all they had at the time?
By oral tradition?
Duh. Yeah, thank you.
But no, you're making the assumption that the story of Mark was passed down orally. You're making the assumption. See, you're assuming now.
You're going on one aspect. I'm saying that at that time, in general, nobody was reading.
No, I'm going on Paul. I'm going on
He was
the fact
speaking
that,
to people. They were all oral traditions.
Josephus's passage is so full of crap that it's worthless. You could not present that.
According to whom?
According to most historians.
When he said, not the one where he says the brother of Jesus, who, what is it? My writing sucks.
Yeah, it's when some priest was killed and they tried to placate them. They killed James, and they tried to placate them by making somebody a priest. So here's the thing. We got the first passage of Jesus where Josephus says all this flowery stuff about him and says he rose on the third day. Dismissed. And if that passage is gone, then the reference to Jesus later is
Why are you
gone as
dismissing
well.
that?
Because they say the reason he doesn't specify Jesus in that passage is because he's already talked about him. But if he hasn't talked about him, then that passage is gone.
How do you know he hasn't been talked about before that?
Well, it's not in Josephus's writings.
How do you know? If he's credited with them, how do you?
We can only go with what we have.
You're saying the writings that he's referring to.
Right.
Josephus merely says in the second passage, the first one was, about this time was a man, blah, blah, blah. He did amazing things. And the second passage is just about James.
Yeah, let's ignore the first.
I'm not ignoring the first at all. Shoot. Why did they not provide it in an easy to find thing on Wikipedia? James' brother, Jesus. Here we go. So yeah, it's all about Festus and Judea's procurator took Joseph the high priesthood job, and they killed James. Brought before them the brother of Jesus, who was called Christ, whose name was James, and some others. And when he had formed an accusation against them as breakers of the law, he delivered them to be stoned. But the people complained about this and sent to the king, and they made Jesus, the son of Damnius, high priest. So how would that placate the followers of Jesus to make this Damnius guy high priest? if
I'm sorry.
Christians,
I got distracted with the commenter. Can I know you're about to rephrase it, but can you rephrase the question?
I said, if James was a staunch Christian at the time when he was
Hmm.
killed, right? I think
Yeah.
you'd agree with that. How would going to complain to the king and the King Agrippa removing the high priesthood from Ananus and making Jesus, coincidentally, the son of Damnius, high priest?
You want me to explain why a non-real person in your eyes was given priesthood
No, you are not following the narrative. Have you read this whole passage?
from Josephus?
Yeah.
No.
If you haven't read it, why are you bringing it up as evidence?
All I need are mentions in history of a man that coincides with other mentions of this man by contemporaries of the time with these traditions that were passed down that can be documented and tracked through other written historicities that we have.
Actually, the passages by Josephus aren't mentioned until Eusebius. Some people suspect Eusebius forged them.
I'm not talking about this one. I'm talking about the mentions of the man in the amalgam of all the other mentions of the man at the time. You are saying that because you can poke a hole in this particular, that therefore the whole thing pops. I'm saying that's not necessarily true in the context of an ancient historical um, timeline.
How many holes do I have to poke?
More than three.
I can do that. So everything you presented has failed, but you think the next thing you present is going to succeed. Okay.
No, all you've done is say, oh, maybe it didn't happen in the way the Bible said. That's literally all you've been able to do.
Um, you, you admitted that we're not using the Bible as a source.
Right, and I'm saying that you have no counter other than what is in the Bible.
I literally just read Josephus
Okay,
because you brought it
who
up.
wrote about the man that we're talking about?
How do you know that?
He is accredited with it by people who are far better at this than we are, and it counters back to other people at his time who are also writing about the same things.
Um, who accredited Josephus said that?
Hmm?
I just told you that this passage does not appear like an Origen, who quotes from Josephus a lot, does not mention either passage. No one starts
What
citing this passage until after
that
Eusebius.
he had that James's brother was named Jesus?
Okay, and again, if you read in the context of this passage, the king deprived Joseph of the high priesthood and gave it to the son of Ananus, who was also calling himself Ananus because they liked to keep things uncomplicated back then. And then it goes on that the older Ananus was a nice guy, but the younger Ananus was an asshole and was part of the Sadducees, who was very rigid in judging offenders above all the rest of the Jews. So because he was a jerk, Albinus assembled the Sanhedrin and brought to them the brother of Jesus and stoned him as breakers of the law. So then those who seemed the most equitable of the citizens and were most uneasy by the breach of the laws, they disliked what was done. So they sent to the king, they deposed Ananus and gave the job to Jesus, son of Damnius, high priest. Jesus, coincidentally, who has the name introduced earlier. So here's what I propose. Eusebius or another Christian interpolator put this passage in here because all they said was Jesus, brother of James. And then somebody added the Christ bit because of the earlier interpolation with Josephus. And we know Josephus would not call Jesus the Christ.
But Adam's
Okay.
point is, why would he be referring to somebody who didn't exist in the first place? What would a Jew, someone who wasn't a Christian, have any business talking
Right.
about all this stuff to begin with?
Yeah, I don't think he's talking about Jesus of Nazareth. I think he's talking about Jesus, the son of Damnius.
Ah, yeah.
Because they killed James, and this Jesus, son of Damnius, was James's brother. That's why they gave him the high priesthood.
So there's a designation that separates the Jesus of Josephus with the Jesus of the New Testament.
So if Adam wants to accept this as quote unquote gospel, pun intended, he needs to explain why that appeased the people, giving it to Jesus, son of Damnius. What people were upset about this, because if Christians were so hated upon by the Jews, why would they care that James was killed? Unless it was a different James.
Really good question.
For an apologist, not necessarily for this. I'm just going to claim agnostic on that because I don't think it applies at all. I don't understand what your claims of the data means and how that supersedes all other claims.
So we can dismiss Josephus.
No, I just think we need to actually understand who he's talking about, and you obviously don't. So it just kind of falls back on who is commonly talked about.
I don't think it falls back on any of that. It falls back on you admitted agnosticism, so therefore we cannot present one way or the other whether or not Josephus was talking about the James, brother of Jesus, the Nazarene. I have no idea who Cleopatra the Seventh is. You talking about the normal Cleopatra? Is that like the Cleopatra that everybody's going on about that was olive skinned and they think she's African?
Oh, yeah. Maybe. Maybe so.
All right, man. Well, it's been almost 2 hours, so.
Yeah, it's been going on. But it's a really good debate. I like both points that were initially brought up. It's really lively. So thanks a lot for coming through and participating and supporting the channel in that way. I really appreciate it. And yeah, man, until next time, we'll put something else together. And if you guys ever want to debate future topics about anything else, just let me know, man.
We'll see.
Yeah, what existence means.
I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I think you do good to debate Scott or objective ethics on what existence means. But yeah, I didn't even know that Cleopatra was the seventh. So
Yeah.
There's my ignorance on that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
All right.
Me too. All right, guys, y'all have a great night, man. I appreciate you.
Later on.
Thanks a lot.